Good morning, everybody. I am Laura Ritz, the Durango wordsmith, and looking forward to just talking about LinkedIn today. I'm going to be talking just a little bit about the content and the writing side, and Jeff will introduce himself and give us a great intro into all of the technical and the other parts of LinkedIn.
Perfect. Let me share my screen here. So I'm Jeff Saville. I'm the relatively new Director of Career Services up at the Fort. Exciting things are happening at the Fort right now. I'm sure, obviously we have our challenges with the COVID, but also it's exciting because we're merging departments. We're also, under the leadership of President Tom Stridicus, who's just an amazing leader for us up at the Fort as well. So, there's just a lot of really exciting things happening. There's always, there's always good in everything that comes out of the bad part of COVID and stuff. So anyways, we're gonna talk a lot about LinkedIn today, and this is a difficult subject to handle in an hour. So I'm just gonna have a caveat of it. There's a lot to LinkedIn. There's a lot to kind of unpack and really kind of figure out how best to use LinkedIn for yourself. So before we get started here, if we could do a quick little in the chat box down at the bottom of your screen, if you could just put a 1 in the chat, that means that you're in job seeking mode. You're looking to either pivot your career or you're finding new employment. So 1 if you're in job seeker mode. 2, if you want to learn more about how to build your personal brand on LinkedIn. And 3 is other, and I'm not really sure what that would be to do on LinkedIn, but we'll figure that out. So let's just kind of look at here. Lots of personal brand. I love it.
Depends on my next meeting.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, excellent.
Okay.
All right, Dan's 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
Okay, that really helps Laura and I kind of figure out exactly who the audience is and what we should be talking about. So I'm trying something a little bit new today. Typically, I prepare a slide deck and I go through each slide, but I thought what I would do, and Jack asked me to do this presentation. He said, Jeff, let's kind of keep it high level. Let's keep it to the basics. And I thought the only real good way to do that is to deliver the content showing other people's profiles and so forth. So that's what I'm going to do. But let's start off real quick. If I can advance the slide. How's this working? Come on, computer. There we go. So why do we want to be on LinkedIn? Let me start there real quick. So LinkedIn in the past week just came out with their new numbers, and there's 706 million people on LinkedIn worldwide. It's a staggering number. And if you look at the United States, it's 171 million. And everybody might be looking at that number going, wow, that's an incredible amount of people. But the reality is only about 45 to 50% are really on LinkedIn. Everybody creates a profile. The majority of people create a profile, and then they don't do much with it. And it's a little bit overwhelming. There's so much you can do on LinkedIn. They announced 7 new features last week alone. I'm going to review some of those features for you today. But really, at the end of the day, it's such a huge opportunity for each and every one of you to really stand out with your personal brand, with your job seeking. There's so much you can do on LinkedIn, and we're going to touch base on some of that today. Again, it's a difficult subject to handle in an hour, so as you have questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat. Laura's going to monitor the chat, and she's going to stop me as we go along, because I don't want to get too far down the road if you have an actual good, if you have a question that you want us to kind of go deeper into. So feel free to put in all your questions there. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question too. So it's definitely not an issue. So another reason why we want to be on LinkedIn, and I just want to touch base on this, in 2016, Microsoft bought LinkedIn. And a lot of people, they paid enormous amounts of money for it. It's in the billions. I forget what it is. I think I may have that up here. But it was $26.2 billion they paid for LinkedIn. And you got to ask yourself, why in the world would they spend that kind of money? So here's what they've done since 2016. When you can set up your Outlook, if you're within an organization that uses Outlook, when you go to type in Jack's name into your Outlook and you're going to send Jack an email, what happens is his LinkedIn profile can pop up on the right-hand side of your Outlook. So as a salesperson, you could learn a lot about Jack, what's new in Jack's world, as you go to write that email. So you can make that email incredibly relevant to Jack based on his LinkedIn profile. Again, another amazing reason why to have an up-to-date, always interacting with your LinkedIn profile. So another incredible reason why to have your LinkedIn profile always up to date is because as you build your personal brand, or as you're out there job seeking or publishing content, that LinkedIn has a tool called LinkedIn Recruiter. Even though you may not be looking for a job, it's always good to know if you're staying relevant within your industry. So if you optimize your profile, then that LinkedIn Recruiter tool that recruiters, 98% of all recruiters have the tool. The only other 2% that don't have it's because it's a very expensive tool. And Laura and I are going to talk about today how to optimize your profile for LinkedIn Recruiter. And again, it's always nice to kind of get a phone call from a recruiter. You know, you can kind of check them and see, okay, is my salary where it should be? This company's trying to recruit me for this. And so it's really nice. It's just, there's so many reasons why to have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile. Okay, let me switch over to my browser. Sorry about this. Let me reshare my screen. Why is this not working? There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through the different sections of LinkedIn, a LinkedIn profile. So this is my profile. It's not the best, I'll admit. It's got some quirks to it. And the reason I think for that is because I'm always testing different things within my LinkedIn profile. Okay, so for instance, the top of your page, this is called the cover image right up here where it says brainstorm your future. This is an important piece of real estate that you want to communicate your personal brand, what your job role might be, what you want the world to know you as. So there, you know, I put a hashtag into my cover image. That has no relevance. That, you know, LinkedIn can't search this hashtag. That's just something that I'm all about, is just about staying relevant and so forth. So then we'll go down here to your profile image. This image right here, every single one of you should have a profile image. And this isn't as, you know, this is probably one of the most important features of a profile on LinkedIn, is having a good, solid profile image. When we have the LinkedIn webinar on the 12th, I'm going to talk a lot about how to take an image or your profile picture with just a smartphone. You know, no offense to any of the photographers that might be in this presentation, but really, you can just go and get your profile image done on your smartphone. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to publish content. And I did a poll and all sorts of stuff talking about the profile image. You know, we're all humans. When recruiters come in and they look at your profile, the first place they go is your profile image. They want to see who they're going to interact with. Then underneath your profile image is your what they call your tag, your titles. And let me back up just a second. So you notice one of the things I'm testing right now is this little emoji right here that's pointed to my name. And you'll notice my name is in all capitals, okay, in all caps, because I'm trying to understand how this looks in LinkedIn Recruiter. So the emoji, the way I got the emoji on there is on my phone. I have installed the LinkedIn app, and you're able to edit your profile section, this section right here, and add emojis. So it was just something I was playing around with one day. Now, the interesting thing is that, I don't know if you can see this at the top of my screen here, you'll notice that emoji shows up under here. So if you're a job seeker and you have a recruiter that has 5 profiles open, which I do. I have profiles open up all up top here. Which one stands out the most? Well, it's this one, you know, because it has a hand pointing at the name. So again, it's little tiny tricks like that that you should be deploying within your profile. And again, I just did that right on the app, on the phone, and so forth. So the other thing is that happened 2.5 weeks ago is there used to be a hack on the phone that we could have 3 lines of title tags or titles. Now LinkedIn got wise to it, and we used to do that hack on our phone. And then LinkedIn got super wise to it and said, well, why don't we just give 200 characters to everybody? So now when you hit the edit button right up here, you can add 3 lines of titles, okay? And the reason we put these vertical bars, or I call them pipe delineators, is really what the proper term is. That the reason we do that and we have proper spacing in between each title is because that's how your titles show up in LinkedIn Recruiter, okay? So these titles have an incredible amount of weight for all searches on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of discussion that goes on between LinkedIn experts of just how much weight these titles have. Should you have your best titles right up at the front? And you know, and this is another area where I think testing is pertinent. And if you want to test, you know, if you want to be known as a nonprofit volunteer expert, you know, I would test putting that title up top of or right front and center. So just because I'm connected with my boss, the president of the college, I thought it would be prudent to put, you know, Director of Career Services at Fort Lewis College right up front. So, okay. The other thing I want to mention is there's really 2 ways to interact and network on LinkedIn. So one is connections. Obviously, you reach out to people. You want to connect. Let's say Jack and I want to connect on LinkedIn. So it is so important not just to hit the button and say, hey, Jack, can we connect? What you want to do is do a little bit of homework. Look at Jack's LinkedIn profile. Jack's going to see that you're looking at his LinkedIn profile. So that's kind of the soft introduction. And then what you want to do is have a nice little note. Hey, Jack, super nice to meet you. It's amazing how well you run the Durango Chamber of Commerce. I really appreciate all you do. Can we connect? Always, always, always put in a nice little note just to soften up the request to connect. Okay. Now there's a trick that you can do. Let's say there's a company that you want to go work for, or there's somebody at a company that you want to connect with. I call it the song and dance. You go and you look at their profile, and you may like a couple of things that they've posted. You may share a couple of things that they've posted, and then you leave that profile, still don't ask to connect, then a week later you go back to that profile, do the same thing, and now this person is starting to go, and this could be like a recruiter at a company, this could be the CEO of a company. Now that person is going, okay, who's this Jeff Saville guy that keeps looking at my profile, liking my published content, and sharing my content? I want to know more about this person. So then when you do reach out and connect, there's a lot more context around that request to connect. The other way you can interact with somebody is following somebody. So if you have somebody that you're not ready to connect with them, but what you can do is you can click on this more button, and I'll show you here in just a second on another profile. But you can click on the more button and you can follow that person. So again, it's another way to kind of understand, this could be a competitor. You could follow a competitor. It's kind of a way that LinkedIn has given us to stalk somebody without having to reach out and connect right at that point in time. So let me show you real quick, and then I'm going to toss it over to Laura, and we're going to talk about the About section. But this is for those of you that are in job seeking mode right now, this person, Brenda Meller, is phenomenal. She gives away more content, more how-tos, more how to go out and interact with recruiters and jobs. And I mean, she's really, really good at what she does. And so she has a private group that you can join. Every Friday, she gets everybody that's seeking jobs, and she networks with them and connects with them, and they get on a live and all sorts of stuff. But you can see, she's really worked her title tags here. And then if you click on that more, I'm currently following her, but here's where it would say follow. Her and I are connected, but this would say follow, and this gives you that ability to follow her without actually having to be connected with her. It's a really cool kind of a new feature upgrade. It's not really new, but it's been there a while, but it's a neat way to be able to follow and connect and interact with somebody without having to connect with them. Okay, you'll also notice, I want to show you something on Elizabeth, who I work with, and she's on this call. But there's a brand new feature, and I think Elizabeth is perfect for it because I keep not pronouncing her name properly. And so LinkedIn about 2.5, 3 weeks ago came out with this feature called Enunciate. And what you can do is on the app, on your phone, you can enunciate how to pronounce your name, okay? So, I'll play it. I don't know if it's going to pop up and you'll be able to hear it, but I'll play it real quick.
Elizabeth Bastian, Director of Community Engagement and Career Development at Fort Lewis College.
I don't know if you heard that, but it's a neat feature. So have fun with this feature. LinkedIn said, our intent is to allow people to announce how to pronounce their name, but there's, marketers kind of screw up everything. So we go in there and we say, I'm Jeff Saville, Fort Lewis College Career Services Director, and man, we have the best students in the world. So we're taking 8 to 10 seconds and we're trying to pack in there the biggest marketing message you could ever deliver. So again, it's one of those features just to have fun with and try it out, test it, play with it. Okay, one thing you could do is you could put in there, I'm Jeff Saville and I'm looking for a new career in data analytics, and if you're that recruiter, I'd love to call you today. There's a lot you can do with that little feature. So there is one thing I forgot to mention, going back to the profile image. There's another new feature in LinkedIn that says open to work. You can add this little green bar. I suggest you don't do that. Whether you're open to work as your own private, you're an entrepreneur and you have your own company, it just kind of screams, there's a lot of talk and discussion about this on LinkedIn right now, but it just kind of screams desperation. So let your open to work show up right here. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to toss it over to Laura, and I'm not quite sure. Laura, do you you have access to the Zoom call?
I'm here. Yep. I just need you to give me screen sharing.
Okay.
All right. So while he's doing that, we're going to move into the About section and the Education section. And I'm going to talk about this purely from a writing perspective, just to kind of help give some hints and some tips to help your writing really pop. So let me see if this will pop up. Let's see here. Nope. Okay.
Do you have control?
No, not yet. It should be, I think, next to the share screen. If you have an arrow, I think you can give me permission. And if not, I can tell you whose profile to go to, and you can just show everyone. So.
Okay, see if that gave it to you.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Sweet. Okay. And there we go. We are up. Thank you. All right. Also, I want to give everyone a heads up. They've been replacing some internet lines in my neighborhood, so I just want to apologize in advance if I disappear. Jeff will just take over. How do you like that one, Jeff? All right. So what you can see here, if you're looking at my screen, is this About section. This is the point I really want to hone in on first. Your About section is only going to show the first 3 lines when someone glances at your profile. So these first 3 lines are some of the most important real estate that you have. I personally am a big fan of white space. Talked about that a little bit yesterday. So when you look at mine, I actually only had one quick statement at the top because I really wanted to catch people's attention with this, helping you unleash the words, tell your story, and share your expertise with the world. That's kind of a part of my mission statement for my business, and I felt like it was really important that people could catch that right off the bat. Now, there are several different ways that you may want to write your About section, okay? And some of this is going to depend on your goals. If you are
Laura, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but there's a lot of chatter in the chat box that we're still seeing Jeff's screen.
Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's see here. Let me try again. Let's see here. But you can hear me okay?
We can, but we were all distracted by trying to figure out what you were referring to.
Oh, you're right. I do still see Jeff's screen.
Yeah, there we go. Jeff had sharing, so we're good.
Now can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you see my profile right now?
We see it. We are good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So if you are a job seeker, you are really going to want to be honing in on keywords. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of some people who do that really well. If you're more like me, I am more concerned with networking. And so for me, my goal in this About section is really to share my mission and share who I am and what I'm about. So I just want to show you a couple examples here. Let's see here. Bring your window to the front. Zoom share. There we go. Okay. So see more. So if you look here, you'll see I decided to write mine like different sections. You know, what is a wordsmith? Here's my mission. Here's my niche. Here's an average day in the life of a wordsmith. Here's my background. Here's how I can help you. And here's what you'll get out of working with me. So if you are maybe in that type of a position, you might want to think about breaking up your About section into little sections. I like to make things scannable. So if someone is just glancing at my profile, they can very quickly get to what they're looking for. Maybe they're like, hey, how much experience do you have? And they can find that quickly. Hey, what's your education? It's right there, you know? So that was my choice as a way to write this About section on my page. Let me show you another one though. This one here, Gregory Bullock, I love the way this one is written. I would probably just break it into a couple paragraphs, but he immediately starts off with his passion. I am passionate about all areas of digital marketing, and I love applying its strategic and creative aspects for growing businesses in Phoenix. So in that first line, we already know what he's passionate about, where he lives, and what he does. He helps grow businesses, okay? And then he goes into some specifics. from search engine optimization, paid search, and social advertising, blah, blah, blah. My goal is to provide value for customers and help them solve their problems. So again, he gets right to the point. He didn't choose to use all of the space in his about section. We do get up to 2,000 characters to use in that section. So I would encourage you to go ahead and fill it. It will help you really hit on those keywords. But again, this was his choice. He also has some very specific detail in here. He talks about where he works, CEI, or he did work, and then he talks about some very specific things that he's good at, and this is part of his natural way to incorporate those keywords. I do Google AdWords, Google Analytics, inbound marketing and sales. He's certified in all of those. So depending on your goal, you may choose to write yours a little bit more like this, where it's a little bit about what you're passionate about, just touching on your experience, and also naturally weaving those keywords in. Okay, if you are a job seeker or you really need to hone in on some keywords, here is a great example of somebody who does that. And again, notice how before I expand it, all we see are her first couple lines. So again, this is really important. She chose to tell people to go straight to her website. Okay, that's how she's trying to set that hook, which is, again, a fine idea. So if we look here, see more, she has, hers is very short, to learn more about her job search and career coaching. She's a former HR and recruiting industry executive, and boom, here are her keywords. And Jeff can talk about this a little bit more, but from what I understand, this will actually show up in Recruiter because of the way she laid it out. It will help those keywords pop up in LinkedIn Recruiter. So this is a really valuable place and a valuable way to list those keywords if you are looking for a job. Also, Jeff, we will talk about, I know he's going to talk about this, how to find those keywords. So we will get to that too in just a bit. Here's one more profile that I wanted to show you, their about section. And again, first 3 words. So she kind of decided to front load hers with some content. As Director of Career Support at Work It Daily, I see that members get access, da, 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 da. And then when we put hers out, I was trained by a LinkedIn influencer. And then here she actually lists hers in sections, her keywords: skills, industry expertise, and technologies. So you can see there's all of her keywords. So those will pop up in LinkedIn Recruiter. I would definitely recommend that you write down these names. This one here is Ariella Coombs. And then here we have JT O'Donnell. And then Gregory Bullock. And of course, you can connect with me, Laura Ritz, and Jeff Saville. And I would encourage you just to go look at those more in your own time to really get an idea of some different ways that you could write your profile. The key is this is the most important part of writing on your profile, this about section, because you've got to set that hook and let people know why they should work with you. So that is point 1. Jeff, before I move on to education, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so one quick thing to add is notice on Laura's profile over to the right-hand side, it says people have also viewed. That is a feature when you're building a personal brand or you're building, you're out as a job seeker, that's a feature you want to turn off. Because as recruiters look at different profiles, what happens is all your competitors for that job you're applying for start to show up here. Does that make sense? And then if you're building your personal brand on LinkedIn, then you don't want, well, it's up to you as you want to become an influencer, but your competitive influencers will start to show up here as well. So I just want to kind of call that out. It's in the settings and privacy, I think, under privacy and so forth that, yeah, you click right there, Laura, and then you just go in and you can turn that feature off. So like on my profile, I have it turned off. And, and again, I turn it on every once in a while because I want to see, are people going to, Cheryl Nixon, the provost of Fort Lewis College, and then they come over to my profile, so it's, that, there's some fun you can have with it, but it's a feature that, depending on what your intention is on LinkedIn, you may want to have that turned off.
Thank you. I totally did not know that. I'll go get mine turned off. All right, do we have any questions specifically about the About section before I move on? Nothing? Okay. Awesome. Great. Okay. And so now we're going to talk just briefly about the experience section. And so I'm going to scroll down. The experience section, the biggest mistake I see in these is people choose to just copy and paste their resume and they just dump the description right into the experience. And while this is easy, it's not really what LinkedIn was designed for. LinkedIn is a social network. And so part of this, the whole thing behind LinkedIn, the whole concept is this is an opportunity for you to tell your professional story. Okay, so in your about section, we're giving a great summary of who you are and what you're about. In your experience section, we want to tell the story of each of those job experiences. And especially your current one, I probably need to update this. It's been about 6 months since I wrote it. But you want to write it, first of all, in the first person. And that also goes for your about section. So everything is I, right? As the Durango wordsmith, I help businesses develop and implement strong content strategies that showcase their expertise and resonate with their readers, okay? So I immediately start off, pretty much whenever I write a profile for someone, we always start off with a little introduction to the company, because a big part of your professional story is who the company is and what they did. Okay, here we go. I'll go back to a previous experience I had. I worked for about a year as a copywriter for a national nonprofit called Playworks. And so here I have just a quick synopsis. We don't want to copy and paste their mission statement, but you can definitely go to your company's mission statement and gather that information out of that. So in this case, Playworks is a national educational service organization that uses the power of play to teach social emotional skills while supporting learning in schools and other out-of-school time programs. Okay, that's who they are. Then I immediately go into me and my role and what I did there. And one of the things you really want to focus on when you're writing your experience section is the impact you made. So if you've got some hard data, I drove sales by 30%, I closed XYZ deals, if you've got some hard data, be sure to put that in there. I do work with a lot of people who are in more soft skills, okay? I've worked with people who are yoga instructors, massage therapists, counselors. And so in those cases, we still want to talk about impact. And we might talk about the changes that they saw in people's lives, okay? We may not always have that hard data to go on, but we're always driving toward impact. And on just a total side note, don't forget that soft skills are still very important, and especially in this day and age. So don't hesitate to make them. I excel at conflict resolution, at team building, those types of things. Those are really important. And so then from after I talk about the company, I immediately go into what I did. As a copywriter and copy editor for the National Marketing Department, I created compelling targeted content for landing pages, And then I talk a little bit about editing, Chicago manual of style, big keyword in the editing world, okay? Here I go into my process. Once it was finalized and approved, here's my keywords. I uploaded it to WordPress. I use a system called Marketo or Hootsuite, okay? I also worked in Marketo logic and protocols, so on and so forth. And then here is kind of my little summary. Through the position, I had the privilege of collaborating with the team and other staff members to create strategies for content that appeals to a diverse group of stakeholders, including outside donors and school-based decision makers. So you can kind of see as you read here, I start with the company, I go into my role, I hit on my keywords a little bit, and I end with my impact, or at least something that really kind of zings and drives the point home. This is just probably a decent model you can follow. Again, if you are in the active job searching phase, Jeff will talk about this. You may want to list those keywords right down here at the bottom, keywords, and list those very specifically, and he can dive into that more. All right, Jeff, throwing the ball back to you.
Okay, one other thing. Leave this up for just a quick second, Laura.
Okay.
Notice how Laura has showcased her work down at the bottom. And you can do that both in your about section and in your experience section. That is so important. So if you're a financial manager, you manage people's money, there is so much you can put down in here. Obviously, you got to stay compliant with your main office, but there's a lot you can do with this. Like on mine, I have some videos that I've done. You can showcase PDF documents, all sorts of really neat things that LinkedIn allows you to showcase down at the bottom of your experience and your about section. And I'm a big believer, just like Laura is, that utilize all the real estate you possibly can in LinkedIn. That is so important. They give it to you, why not use it? So, there's rumblings right now that they're going to start to provide analytics to allow you to understand how your visitor to your profile is interacting with that content. So again, stay tuned for that. That'll be cool. Okay, so let's go back. I will try and figure out how to share my screen again here.
Okay. While he's sharing that, any questions about the experience section?
Nothing. Huh? Okay. All right.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
If you're just changing careers and you have some like limited experience, what would you recommend for putting in there as you're kind of getting going in whatever industry it is that you're starting in?
Is the pivot to the new career, is it relative at all to your previous career?
In respect to the niche that I'm gonna stay in, yes, but other than that, they're completely different worlds.
Yeah. So what I would do immediately, what you should do is start to create content around your new pivot. So for example, let's say I'm in career services and I want to go move into data analytics. So what you have to start to do is position yourself as an influencer or an expert. So I'm super passionate about a tool called Google Data Studio. And it's a product that Google gives out for free. I use it every day and I love it. So what I would start to do is, so I'm going to go provide that service to other companies and this pivots to my new endeavor. Then I would start to publish content on LinkedIn. So you position yourself as you may not be an expert at this point, but you have a say and an idea and an opinion. And what happens is your visitors to your profile start to look at all this, 4 or 5 articles that you've published on LinkedIn as like, oh, wow, this person really knows what they're doing. And yet all you've done is publish content. Now, there's the caveat is don't publish content that you're not comfortable backing up. So if somebody picks up the phone and calls you and says, or calls me and says, hey, Jeff, I really want you to pull in 52 data sources into my Google Data Studio, I may not be able to do that. So there's a fine line you don't want to cross. Another quick
If I
thing
can just
to think.
piggyback on that, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, did I freeze? Okay, we're
Absolutely.
up. So, one other thing too is go to the job descriptions that you are looking to move into and find some of the things that are very common, the similarities between what you want to move into and what you have already done. So that's a real key, and then highlight that in your experience. And like Jeff said, if you're creating content, focus in on all those things that you have already done that are the same. So again, and I do this with a lot of people who want to step up to management, right? So, okay, maybe they didn't have a supervision role, but maybe they helped with conflict resolution and they helped create team building activities. And so we can really focus in on those things. So go check out the job descriptions of what you want, and then pull out everything that you have done that's in those job descriptions and highlight that like crazy across your profile and every piece of content that Jeff has talked about. That's a big key, and it's easier because you've already done it. So
yeah, that is so spot on, Laura. That's exactly what you should be, everyone should be doing. One thing I want to add to, and I just remember this, is I'm looking at under Brenda's experience here, and she owns the company. Obviously, this is her company. But what you can do, and this relates to what the question we just had, was you have a lot of character length right here on the title of where you work or what you're doing within your company that you own. So utilize this real estate and take it all the way out. And what I'm going to start doing, and what I'm promoting to all of our students up at FLC, is that they put those keywords right here. So this could be like director of marketing, and then HubSpot, Google certified, put those keywords right out here. Number one, it's going to show up in LinkedIn Recruiter, the tool. And then number two, those are keywords that the algorithm can look at and say, oh, okay, somebody's looking for, a director of marketing that knows HubSpot. So when they put in those search queries, those, this profile, this experience profile would pop up. So that's the whole game. That's the goal. That's the SEO of LinkedIn. Okay, so I know we're getting tight on time. We got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure I talk about this feature. This is relatively new. This is weeks old on LinkedIn, and it's called the featured section. How you turn this on is, let me go back to my profile. You can add a profile section right here, and then one of these says featured right here. Okay, so what is so exciting about this featured section, I'll just stay here on my profile, is this allows you to share content that you're passionate about or that you're interested in, and it really helps you carve out the brand that you're trying to build. So how you can use this is if you're applying for a job or you're super interested in analytics, you can post and share and feature, that's the reason they called it, content that you're interacting with, okay? So this is not turned on natively. You have to go and turn it on, and again, it's right here in this section. Let's look at how Brenda uses her featured section. So this is her Friday shout out that she does. These are all people that she's helping, and you can go and join her group and learn so much from Brenda, but she showcases all the content that she's publishing in this featured section. This is super exciting to us nerdy LinkedIn users, because this just really allows us to feature poll results, any content that you're publishing, and you can see here, I mean, they give you a lot of real estate to share what you're working on the LinkedIn platform. So this is exciting. One other thing I want to make sure that I talk about, and then we're going to probably open it up to Q&A. There's so much more. We could go for days on all this stuff, and we just don't have that kind of time, obviously. So I clicked on the Me button. Under Settings and Privacy, actually, I think I have this up. So under Settings and Privacy, this pulls up this screen right here. You want to click on Job Seeking Preferences, and then here's a couple of features that you want to make sure you turn on, and these are more targeted to people that are looking for new jobs or new careers. So you want to let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. Of course, everybody can tell my boss I have this turned off. No, I'm not looking for any opportunities right now. And then signal your interest in recruiters at companies you have created job alerts for. So you can go and find a job description, a job posting, then you can create an alert for that company. As soon as you turn that on, and then that job alert, and then you have this change to turn to yes, change it to yes, that alerts the recruiters that you're interested not only in their job that they've posted, but you're interested in their company, okay? And then one other thing I want to touch base on real fast. Let me look at, so there's her feature, here's all her experience. The other thing you want to pay attention to is any volunteer experience, super important to have on your LinkedIn profile. Skills and endorsements, recommendations. Okay, interests. This section right here always gets overlooked. That LinkedIn allows you to join, LinkedIn allows you to join 100 groups, okay? And groups, you should join groups that you're interested in, that let's say it's a nonprofit national group, or you're interested in Financial Planners of America. I don't know, I'm just kind of making some stuff up. But what this allows is recruiters can come in here. I clicked on, it looks like Laura dropped off here. So what it allows you to do is recruiters can come in, or people that are interested in your personal brand, and learn more about you. So it gives you a section of influencers that you want to follow. So Brenda follows Bill Gates, the CEO of Microsoft, Richard Branson. And then we can, as a recruiter, you can always look at what companies Brenda is following. Okay, and the reason that's important is, let's say you want to go work for Bank of America. Let's pick a different company, GE. Then that recruiter can come in and make sure that you're interacting with the company that you want to go work with or work for. So if you want to sell your services from your personal company that you own to GE, it's important that you're following GE, because they do come and look at this, you know. And then here's the groups. You can join 100 groups. The nice thing about one of the most recent updates was now LinkedIn allows you, they've opened it up. As long as you're involved and joined a group, you can send as many emails to anybody within that group. They used to limit you to 50, I believe it's 50 emails a month. Now they've just opened it up. So if I want to come in here to the Social Selling Experts group, I can email that 1,036 members as many times as I want. Now, obviously, you don't want to abuse that. That's not the right thing to do, but being very strategic and communicating, you know, LinkedIn said, okay, we're going to open this up and we're going to see how it goes, but we could shut it down just as fast. So when you want to interact with somebody via email on LinkedIn, you can do that unlimited now. Okay, let's take questions. And again, this is just a hard topic to cover in an hour. There's so much to do. And the thing is just get in here and play and test things and try things out and look at other profiles and all sorts of good stuff. Okay, let me stop my screen. I think we just had a question pop in. Looks like Laura's back.
I'm here. Will you go over how to recruit next week is the question.
Shannon, is that how do you recruit somebody, or how a recruiter recruits you?
I'm just curious on how to use it to recruit people for the college.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we definitely can go over that next week.
The community
there's a lot.
I should have clarified that, since you're from Fort Lewis.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. I'll use Fort Lewis as an example. There's a lot going on in Fort Lewis right now, where my mission, my personal goal, is to have every Fort Lewis college student have an epic LinkedIn profile. Well, there's 3,100 students. Actually, our enrollment's up right now, so fingers crossed we don't have any significant melt come the fall semester here in a couple weeks. But that's kind of my goal. My team hears about it all the time. I'm like, every student should have an epic profile. So we can talk a lot about how to recruit people in, especially at the recent college graduate level. But then we can also talk about next week a little bit about how recruiters, what the process for a recruiter looks like. So cool. Good question.
All right, next question from Sandy, and this is a good one because I am actually in this boat too, Sandy. Do you recommend having a business page if you are a solopreneur? And I would love to hear Jeff's take. I do have a business page, and it's tricky because I'm constantly sharing content from my business page to my personal page, and I'm like, okay, what articles do I want to post for personal, and which ones are through the Durango Wordsmith, and it's all me. So, Jeff.
Yep. That's an awesome question, because it is difficult, depending on what hat you have on at any given time. So the answer is yes, absolutely. You should have a business page on LinkedIn if you own your own company. The reason for that is because as you grow your company and you start to hire more people, even if you're going to outsource to to a group of people or something, or outsource your content to Laura, Laura's first thing she's going to do, she's going to go look and see if you're a legit business. And you want to have a presence on LinkedIn as a business, okay? And then the next thing Laura's probably going to do, she's going to go to your personal profile. She wants to understand who you are, what type of culture you have at your company, those types of things. And that culture description and that messaging from your business should come from your business page, okay? And then the other thing is, as you hire employees at your company, in order for that employee to add that to their experience and to have the logo show up, you have to have a business page. So I was working with Elizabeth a week or two ago, and she has some experience at the Durango Herald. She used to work there, and we couldn't get the logo to pop up for the Durango Herald in her profile. And it turns out that they had a couple of different business pages, and we picked the right one, and boom, pops in the logo under experience for Elizabeth. So it worked out really well. So.
Speaking of a couple business pages too, I have worked with a few clients who ended up with multiple profiles. So if anybody here is in that boat, a lot of times they ended up with one through their business, their work email address, and they set one up from a personal email address. And we researched it. There is a way to go and combine those profiles, just so you know. So if you need help with that, shoot us an email. But it does happen. So just be aware and try to remember which email address you use to set it up. You can link all of your email addresses to one profile too. I think my profile has 3 or 4 different email addresses to it. So if you do need to, for some reason, have a work email attached with your personal, you can. So just know that.
And the other thing is, make sure LinkedIn allows you to have a custom URL for your profile. Mm-hmm. So make sure, and it's one of the edit features at the top of your profile. And you can make out, like mine is like Jeff Saville and the numeral 1, because exactly what Laura just said, I had multiple profiles and I didn't know how to combine them. And so I just created another one, and LinkedIn hates that, but it worked. So just make sure your URL is customized, because when you put that into, if you're a speaker and you're out on the speaker tour, and you do your resume or your description of who you are, what you like to talk about, that LinkedIn URL needs to be super short and concise and clear. So.
And I actually have typed out instructions on how to do that. If you want them, I'll email them to you. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat right now on how to do your URL, because I had to write it up for someone. So my email address is going now. And Jeff, I got kicked out. Did you talk about our special gift giveaway?
We haven't, not yet. We got 3 minutes.
All right, cool.
And I can stay on too for as long as we need to. I'm in no hurry.
Okay, sounds good. We have a question. Is the Enunciator button on the phone? Mine shows it's not working.
So it's part of the app, and you may not have it yet. They're slowly rolling it out, and it may not be turned on yet in your profile. Or you need to update your app, your LinkedIn app on your phone as well. That might be the issue. But they are rolling it out now. Laura, do you want to talk about the group?
Sure, why not? So Jeff set up this awesome group. I'm going to try and share my screen. We'll see if it'll go through. Looks like it's here. Okay. So if you take a look, it's called Durango LNKD Helpers. And this is kind of our new Durango LinkedIn helper group, where we can all join and share feedback and ask questions and connect with people that we know. And so as part of our giveaway today, the first person who requests to join this group and who accepts the request and I let them in, will get the gift that we have from the Chamber of Commerce. So if everybody wants to go hop on your profile right now, you can go look for this group, Durango Linked LNKD Helpers, and request to join, and Jeff or I will let you in.
The purpose of the group is, I know how frustrating it can be when you sit in on these webinars and you don't get your question answered, or time was short. The purpose of this group is Laura and I are going to sit and monitor this on a daily basis. And so when you have questions or you're not sure how to do something on your profile, just post it in this LinkedIn group and we'll jump on it and we'll help you out. So we'll respond, and then when we respond, we'll respond within the group, so then everybody can benefit from that. So that's why we set up the LinkedIn group. And then we'll post a lot of documents. I posted a couple in there last night. One thing you should do every single day, and I know everybody's super busy, but now's a good time to do this, is, in my opinion, let me say it that way, you should spend 20 minutes a day on LinkedIn. Okay, and you're like, oh my gosh, Jeff, I don't have 20 minutes, and what do I do? So in your feed, in your homepage feed of all your connections, showcasing their content and their publishing and everything that goes on LinkedIn, do 3 things: like it, share it, or comment. You don't have to do all 3 of those for one piece of content, but you have a piece of content showing in front of you. Either like it, read it, make sure you read it, understand it, like it, you can share it, or you can comment on it. And what that does is, if you do that consistently every single day, 5 days a week, it doesn't have to be every day, but what it does is it wakes up the LinkedIn algorithm for your profile, and they're like, oh wow, Laura's really interacting with LinkedIn, so let's start to showcase her content within her network as well. So there's it really kind of gets the algorithm fired up. So for instance, I had the most, and I know this works because I do it all the time, I had the most views of my profile in the last 7 days. It was like, I don't know, close to 180 views or something like that. And that all stemmed from me just sharing other people's content, liking it, commenting, and it takes literally 2 seconds. It's like, hey, Jack, great article on, it's great that the chamber is doing great things for us as small business owners. That literally will take you 8 seconds to do. But to LinkedIn, that's a big deal, and the algorithm gets super fired up about it. So any advice for encouraging associates who think they don't need LinkedIn because we are all small town? We are in a small town to start. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Laura, do you see that question? Let's see. Any advice for encouraging associates who think they don't need?
I can't see the question. Could you read it to me? It didn't pop.
It says, any advice for encouraging associates who think they don't need LinkedIn because we are in a small town to start using it?
COVID. COVID hit, and I will tell you, it's amazing. The phone just started ringing of everybody who has been so focused on in-person everything, and now all of a sudden they can't, whether it's businesses who are only doing business in person, people who are only handing out in paper resumes, people who have only been connecting in person, and now all of a sudden they're being pushed to a platform to a world where we have to connect digitally. I mean, this is really our only way, and especially right now, I mean, LinkedIn is our way to network. The chamber has been fabulous at maintaining. I got to just commend them real quick. They pivoted so fast and so hard and went to digital so quick, but it's a way to follow up after you encounter people on a Zoom chat like today, right? So now we can go connect, every one of us can all go connect now on LinkedIn, and we've all of a sudden got this network that we're building that if we can't go out and meet in person, we can still reach out to each other and help each other and do business together. So frankly, I don't think you need a better reason than that.
Yeah, that's a super hard question for me to answer, because I don't have any reason why you would not join LinkedIn. I don't know. I mean, I stalked Jack for weeks before I actually met Jack. I've only lived in Durango for about 3.5 years, and I knew more about Jack than Jack knew about himself when I first met him, you know? So there's just so much you can do with the tool, and, you know, and there's just, you know, there's so many reasons why to be on LinkedIn. It's just crazy. So have your associates call me. That's maybe what we should do.
Yeah, have them join our LinkedIn group.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
I'm always amazed just how much support we can get digitally, you know, even with our small community. You know, it's like I meet people in person, and Jeff and I have met through a lot of different networking events, and we're all on different Slack channels. And it's just great when you just have a question, just like LinkedIn, to just be able to go throw it out there and get responses from people. You know, I mean, just having that digital network, it's one more tool at our fingertips. And as much as we want to be able to keep everything in person, I mean, I know I was a kindergarten teacher for 11 years and I hated computers, you know, but I jump into the.
Oh, are we losing her?
He froze.
Yeah.
I would
So
also
Jack,
say trying to get your associates, you know, you can have some fun with it, and you know, office or offer, you know, a prize or something, that, you know, a gift card to somewhere or something like that, to say, hey, if you update your profile, if you do this, if you do, kind of do some incentives and have some fun with it internally.
mm-hmm. And when you have a business page and it's super active because you've got employees that are joined that business page, that also helps the whole company. You know, the company presence on LinkedIn grows as well, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why to be on LinkedIn. So, any other questions? Should we wrap it up, Jack, or?
Yeah, we probably should. I will say that I did put in the chat with all of you, you know, saying you don't have time. I think you just committed to LinkedIn 301, 401, 501, and just, you know, because you have nothing else to do.
Exactly.
And I'm glad to know that even though you still reached out to me after stalking me. So appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
I do want to. I would like to say, in all honesty, thank you, Jeff, because when I approached you with this, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm in, no problem. Just yourself and everything that Fort Lewis is doing out in the community, and now you guys have had to pivot. So I do appreciate all of your efforts. Pass along to Tom Striticus that, you know, what you're doing, we really appreciate. The same thing to Laura. I know she dropped off the call, but she too has just been wonderful with helping us out. So, and if you're on this call and you, in all sincerity, if you do want a 301, 401, other level, there's other people out there that I know would also like to join. So let us know at the chamber what you want to learn about, and we'll find the experts as well. So, and I won't abuse you too bad, Jeff.
I love LinkedIn. I'm such a big believer in it. So, and everybody, please connect with me. That'd be awesome. I'd love to get to know more people here in Durango and so forth.
And you'll get back to me on the winner of the who won. So let me know.
Yeah. Yep. We'll figure out who that was. I know Laura's been bringing people into the group. So
great.
You know, perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Be safe.
Yes, that's important. Take care, everyone.